Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Alpana. Hi, sir. Can you hear me? I mean,
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
I think so. I can hear you.
Able to see my screen?
Yes, I do.
Any questions from our previous session?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's start with the text object. Now, of all the objects, the remaining one is the text object. Now, text box object is basically your text object is just like an object. It is a generic object. Either you can just create this object and update any information. This dash. So you can like just type in some text, and when you apply the dashboard, that box will have the text. Like last time I showed you. You can also use it as a background image enhancer or like partitioner. You can use it for partitioning the dashboard or updating anything. So anything of those sorts can be done using this dashboard. Now while this dashboard is there, like I said, you can define anything. So there is no text or nothing else. There is no header. There is nothing. There is just the text option over here. So you can have any text and you can update it. Now, along with this, I'll come to this like this representation later. So you have layout, centered, vertical alignment of text. Suppose if you want how you want the text to be centered or anything. So if you see that this dashboard is right in the center of that entire box, so you can do it. Whether you want horizontal, suppose your information is very long, you want horizontal scroll bar or vertical scroll bar. You can change the background of this text box and make it a little more different for you to be able to present it, right? So in case you have an image, you can update the image over here. So like I said, like this. So the image will be updated in the text object. The text is still there. The dashboard is still on top of the image. So but you can have image or text. Then there is Actions tab. Now Actions tab is exactly the same as the buttons that we saw yesterday. So you can define any action over here. So you create a text box. The user can select the text box, click on the text box, and like you can set up some actions or triggers for it. Font, you can set up or define what font you want, layout and caption. You can define the layout and caption. Now in the general tab, so like I said, you can have an image, you can have a color, you can have different like almost everything, whatever you'd want to do with this. Now what's the main use of, the other use of text box is you can also define variables. Now if I start a text box again, so this is my text box. Now the text area that you're seeing, right, is where you can type all the things, where what you want to do, whatever you want to display. Now if you see this 4 dots, right, wherever you see this 4 dots is the expression editor is available at this point. So if you click on it, it will launch the expression editor. Wait, quickly to check, is there any lag in this session? Basically my voice and the, the screen?
No, no. Everything is clear.
Everything is clear. Okay. That's great. Okay. So now, this is the expression editor. So wherever you see this 4 dots is where you can launch the expression editor. You click on it, it gives you the expression editor. Now you can, it's just like the script editor. If you see in the bottom, you have fields, functions, variable, images. In the script editor, you have the database connection, functions, and the variables and other information. Over here, if you launch, it will give you, like the script editor, you can't have multiple pages over here. It's only one big page. On that page, you can have unlimited number of lines. So there's no restriction as to how big the expression has to be. So you can write a really big expression. So the really big expression is nested if function, if condition. Suppose you keep on going and if condition, if condition, if condition, and you have a very big expression. That time you need to do this. Now fields. First tab is the fields. Second is the functions. No, not it, not it. So fields, functions, variables, images. Now the first tab, the fields, if you see this aggregation, there's something called as aggregation. If you check the drop down, you will see average, first string, fractile. Now all these are aggregation functions. Aggregation functions are nothing but they sum up any values or like calculate based on what the aggregation is. Now here let's do the sum first. So on the aggregation function, I'll go ahead, select sum. Under table, I will select what table I want. Maybe sales order detail is where the order quantity is. I'll pick the order quantity. Now I don't have to do anything. I'll just say paste. The expression is created by itself. Now in a text box, you have to append equal to. So I will append the equal to. Now the blue color is the function, the inbuilt function, and the red is generally the field name. Right. So in case it's not this color, then there is something wrong with the syntax. Now my expression is created, sum of order quantity. I'll just say okay, apply. Okay. So now Qlikview is giving me the overall sum of order quantity in the entire application. So 2,74,914. Similarly, I can add several other expressions depending on what my requirements is. Now, while writing the expressions, sum of order quantity. You can have average of order quantity, max of, so you don't have to filter the table, you just can go to the order quantity. 44 is the max of order quantity. So like this you can write multiple expressions. Now writing an expression, so it's more simple if you go with the aggregation functions. Now apart from aggregation functions, there are no other functions over here. If you go to the functions tab, you will find all the functions that we already saw during the scripting, right? Aggregation, color, conditional, date, time, exponential, financial, formatting. Now all these are valid over here, but you have to use it in an appropriate place or appropriate chart. Now this aggregation function is like based on all the values, it will give you one value. So you can use that. But date and time is not gonna add months, is not gonna add, if I give add months of order date, it will do the add months for all the records, right? Now all the records will not be displayed in text box. So this function is not gonna work out. So in text box you can use only the functions which will give you single value output, be it aggregation or be it anything. So the UI functions that we were discussing were the color. So again, color can be used in the text box. I'll show you where to use this color. Or I think those were the UI functions. Then there were range functions, range average. We'll see this tomorrow. And they were like system functions. All these are UI functions. Plus whatever we saw during the scripting part, right? Conditional, the if condition, match, pick, if, all these are valid in the scripting. Now if condition I can write, so I can say if max of order quantity is greater than 10 or greater than 40, I can keep say 1 else 0. Right. Our max of order quantity is 44, so it is going to give me 1. If I change the property of that, instead of 40, if I write 50, it's going to give me 0. Right, that way I can write a big if condition also. Now, you would have seen a lot of applications or Qlikview demos where you have those smileys or up arrow, down arrow, green arrow, left arrow. Now, how do we achieve that? So basically, if you look at the bottom part, you have the variables, right? So these variables are nothing but whatever variables we created. So all these will have the values that are there. So you can control these variables with various buttons or actions, or just go update the variable value in this variable overview place. The last tab, it says images, right? Now in Qlikview you have those predefined images, those arrows, those smileys, into marks, clicks. So if you look at it, so green arrow, red, so there are different arrows. If you look at the right of this, image name, it is showing you what kind of arrow it is, right? You have everything. You have lights, you have green lights, you have plus, you have minus, smiley, no smiley, everything. Now you can pick a particular image. Suppose I want to, so I have the green image, green smiley. So if it is greater than 40, I want to put a green smiley. So instead of writing 1, right? So I will just say paste. So Qlikview will update this string. So it will update the image string for this. When it is 0, I might want to put a sad face. So I'll have to find a sad face. So I'll put a gray sad face. I put this. I'll say okay. But Qlikview is not presenting that icon. It's presenting the string. So the reason is, in the general tab, if you remember, while we started, I told I'll talk about this representation later. So when you put it as text, right, whatever is there will be updated as text. Whenever you want something like output, you will have to convert this into an image. So this be like an image output. Now it's a big green smiley. You just have to make sure the image is filled with the right aspect. Right, my image is filled. I guess smiley. Now, what is happening? I just gave sum of order quantity. Now the sum of order quantity is happening based on the entire data set, whatever is available. Now in Qlikview, that's the associated. So we have loaded the data, we have linked the data. Now I have not selected any data, so the whole data is available for aggregation. So the 2,06,000 that you're seeing is for the entire data set. Now in this, if you select 2007, now the 2007 will be selected and you will get the value sum of order quantity only for 2007. So you're seeing 1,24,699. So that 1,24,000 is only for 2007. Now you select 2008, the data will be only for 2008. Now this is a plain Jane following the normal principle of Qlikview. If you have no selections, entire data set, whatever selections you make for that particular data set, you're getting the analysis out. Right, the smileys will change accordingly if there is no max, though there is no max, like the max value is not greater than 44. So you can do this. We'll put the smiley a little that side. Get this. suppose this is our entire Qlikview data set. Okay. So this is the data for 5, 6, 7, 8, 2005, 2006, 2007 and 8. Images, yes, you can. So basically you can have images and linking them or show them. If this is to be our entire data set, this is our whole set, right? Now the moment the user selects, it becomes a subset of this whole set. So here I'll have this subset. So this is 2007. Now the user selects 2008. So this 2007 gets cleared and another subset of data is selected telling it is 2008. Right, I think this data is for 2008. Now Qlikview works with this methodology. So when it is nothing is selected, sum of all the sets, if whenever that particular set is selected, aggregation is happening only on that particular set. So it's ignoring the whole set or all other sets. Now while we have this mechanism, how do we, now the biggest challenge or the biggest requirement is comparing data against like two sets. So I have 2007 data. I want to compare it against 2008 data. So technically if you look at it, I'll have to first select 2007, 1,24,000, then select 2008, then see 77,449. This is not the right method, right? Now how do I compare it side by side? When the user is selecting 2008, which is the current year, it has to show the previous year, that is 2007. So in Qlikview, what Qlikview did was, it brought in something called as virtually selecting the values and giving the output. So what it will do is, while I have selected 2008, it will virtually in the backend select 2008 and pass the resultant value in the second box. So how do we do it? It's the same formula, sum of order quantity, only that in every expression, Qlikview has brought in something called as set analysis, set expression. So if you look at the syntax, right, it says all the square brackets ones are not, or like optional. So set expression, distinct, all, total, field is order quantity, and expression is the whole expression is what we're talking about. Sorry, the field is for the total, we'll come to that field later. Expression is nothing but the order quantity that I have specified over here. Now, so if you look at the syntax carefully, it is before the expression, right? Completely before the expression within the flower parenthesis. So what I have to do is, I will do this. I'll quickly write one syntax and then explain in detail about it. If you look at it, the box is showing 1,24,699. Now my first box is selected as 2008. Now when I'm moving to 2007, my first box will show me the 2007 data, but the second box is still continuing to show me 2007 itself. Even if I move to 2006, my first box is actually showing the 60,000 value for 2006, but my second box is fixed at 2007. When I move to 2005, it's the same thing, right? This methodology is nothing but of the whole set, I'm making sure I'm selecting a particular set of data and doing the aggregation on it. I'm predefining it and leaving it as a fixed. So I've predefined 2007. So this box will always show me 2007 data itself. Now what did I do? So what I did was, I made sure Qlikview is always calculating that sum of order quantity on this set. Now the other set is basically by dynamic, is normal. I have not defined anything in the first box. That's why it is happening based on the selection. But second box, I have made sure that no matter what year is selected, override that and just select 2007 and give me the results. That's the query we have written over here. So we have overridden the selection in year and passed 2007 as the selection and getting the order quantity. Now even if you clear, even nothing is selected, it's still 2007 as virtually selected and giving you the value.
Hello.
Now,
What is like January? What happens?
Sorry?
What happens when you select a month? For example, January. What happens to the analysis? So it's only override only year. The what was selected on year, right? What if the other dimension is selected? What happens to that set expression on the right, value on the right?
Yeah, I'll tell that 1 second. Yeah, I'll explain it 1 second. And Alpana, I think, yeah, 2000 also dynamic. Yeah, we can make it. So we'll reach there. First, we'll try to understand all these things and we'll reach there. See how to make that dynamic, don't worry. Yes, Mark, I think that's the right question. So basically, when I fix the year 2007, what happens to other dimensions? Other dimensions will work as based on the selection. Suppose I select now the data on the left side is showing 2,74,000 for the whole set and 1,24,000 for year 2007. But when I select Jan, so it will show for Jan 2007 and the whole set for all the months, all the years. 13,000 is for Jan of 3 years and 3,532 is for Jan of 2007. When I'm fixing one particular value, right, when I have just defined year as 2007, I am fixing only the year part of it. All the other dimensions will be normal. They will behave normally. So if you make any selection, it will select. If you don't, it will not consider that. Suppose I want to make sure the month also is always as Jan. So I will have to define it over here. Next to the 2007, I'll say month. So if you see this 3532 is fixed. Though I am selecting multiple other months, the value is always fixed. So the idea is over here, if I define any particular field, the value that has to be selected or calculated, it is only then that Qlikview is going to override whatever is the current selection and make the selection based on what you have defined over here and give you the aggregation. Otherwise, it will just follow whatever selection criteria is there. Okay. Yeah. This method of using sets, right? When you select small sets are like virtual sets are selected, based on that the calculations are done. That's one of the reasons this is called as a set analysis. Now, these sets can be defined anything, right? Like just you saw year and month, anything. I can define multiple different fields. So if I have 10 fields in my entire application, I can define 10 different values for 10 of these fields and make sure I have a set and I have an aggregation on it. Now if you look at it, I'm just writing a query, sum of order quantity where year is 2007 and month is January. So I get the output of sum of order quantity. So that's the whole methodology of this set analysis. Now there is no limitation as to how many you can write over here, how many fields. Like I said, if you have 10 different fields, you can pass it. Now dual values. Suppose I have 2007 and 2008, or I would say 2006. What will happen is it will give you a cumulative sum of 2006 and 2007 for the month of Jan. Right, as I've written it over here as Jan, so it's going to take Jan. So I can define multiple values for the same field. So it's nothing but I am telling override whatever is the current selection, and in the year field make the selection 2007 and 2006 and give me the output. Any questions here? The syntax looks a little complicated in the beginning, but if you simplify it, I would say it is not that complicated, because it's not only valid for sum, syntax is valid for any function. So if you take sum, sum of order QTY, all you have to do is just before the field name and after the parenthesis, use two of these parentheses, flower1. Within that, use two angular, and within this, whatever you write is your set analysis. So over here you can write here is equal to. Now when you're passing the values, right, you have to use another flower parenthesis. So whenever you're passing the value to the year field, you have to use this kind of parenthesis, and you can say that, okay, 2006 or 7. Right? If you have multiple value, 2006. The same thing, if you want to add another field, comma, so you can say month is equal to, there is no limitation, so you can give how many hours you want based on your requirement. There is no limitation at all. So for text, I have to use single inverted commas. Right. My set analysis is ready. Now, the next question is, how do we create this as a dynamic thing, right? So the 2007, 2008 that we are talking about, so over here, if I just take off the month, so I have the year. Now I top one, so when the user selects 2008, So the top box, this 77,000 is showing for 2008, that is current year. So how do I make sure I'm always show the previous year? So when I select 2007, the box that is below should show the sum of 2006. So for that, we utilize the variables. Suppose if I go to the variables, I'll create previous year variable. Now in my definition of previous year, I can go to the script editor here also. Wherever you see these 4 dots is the script editor. So you can write some expression over here. So I'll say previous year is nothing but, so max of year minus 1. Now what does this max of year do? Now when nothing is selected, max of year will automatically declare 2008, that is the latest year, right? Minus 1 will reduce it to the previous year. Now if suppose a user selects one value, say 2007 or 2008, max of year will give me that same value, right? Because there's, okay, the max of year, this functionality will happen only on the active data or on the selected data. Suppose some values are excluded, which are gray, like suppose I select 2008, so the only that value is selected. Now the max will happen only on that value. It won't take the entire, all the other grayed out values. So if the moment the user selects 2008, so the max value will become 2008 and my previous year will become minus 1. Now with this, what I can easily do is, I can go to my set analysis. So here you are seeing the year. I have hard coded it. Now you can call up a variable. So you will have to do is, you have to first include the variable in dollar, like similar to what we have done earlier. So you just use this v previous year, paste, and put this entire dollar and v previous year into single inverted commas. Generally when you use this fields variables, right, it is advisable to use inverted commas. Say okay. Now current year is 2008, it is showing okay, I'll have to create another one for current year. Now in case over here I don't want to create one variable called current year and then put max of year, then consider that as variable. Instead of that, I can write a direct expression over here. So I have dollar, within the dollar you can just write equal to max of year. Okay, what this will do is, it will, the moment you have dollar and equal to, it will evaluate the expression after this. So dollar expansion is one for the variables, one for evaluating within the expressions. So if you use this dollar equal to max of year, it will evaluate the max of year over there and return the value based on the dollar. So I have this, I'll do this, okay. Now what will happen is, it will always show the current year. So the first box is the current year, which is 77,449, because max of year is 2008, right? So current year is 2008. Similarly, previous year is 124,699. If I select 2007, so current year is 1,24,000, previous year is 60,000. If I select 2006, 60,000 and 11,84,000. Any questions on this? So this is how you can write basically variables. what I was telling was under the caption, right? So this is the caption. So you can say show caption, and the title text. If you see that it has an expression editor. So like I said, wherever you have an expression editor, you can update the expression. So here I have updated max of year. So it is showing max of year. So basically it will show the current year, previous year. Couple of other set analysis functionalities. For example, now this is something that we learned, how do we make any selection and understand the entire thing. Now as if I didn't understand your question, Saif. Yeah, you can put up I mean actually in the dashboard that you'll have to create, you'll have to put up some value, some description, right? So you can put up anything. This is for demonstration of set analysis. So you can definitely write and text box telling total order QTY. You can put this on top, right? So the user will know that, okay, whatever you're doing is based on order quantity. And for this year, like you're telling, so you can go back to caption. Max of year is nothing but current year. So append it and say current year. Or vice versa, if you want the current year to be first. So 2006.
But I cannot put it inside the same box, can I?
Yeah, so you can. So all those things are depending on how you would want to write an expression. So here you have written this, right? In general, this is the entire big sum expression that you have written. So always you can write it before. Current year, total,
Okay.
order Q, divide.
Okay. I see what I mean, yeah. Okay.
So when it has to evaluate, the sum will evaluate and pass the value, but your text will be static.
Thank you.
So what if I want to like compare this against the overall total for all the 4 years, right? That means this is my current year, previous year, and based on selection, right? Now what if I need to make sure that I override all the selection and always show the total value. Right? So what happens is if I use sum of order quantity. This says sum of order quantity 1,24,000. 699. But I want to show the overall total quantity, that is 5678. Now in Qlikview, there is a mechanism. Now the flower braces that you saw, right, is nothing but within that you write those angular braces in that. But if you mention one, so there are two. Okay, in Qlikview they are termed as. There is a definitive name for it, which I don't generally remember it. So if you go to help and set analysis, right, you will be able to see this. So building a set expression, it explains all those things that I have been telling. Now there is something called a set identifier. So we call this as identifiers, $1 and $. Okay. Now when I just say 1 over here without any values, nothing, what it will do is it will override all the selections, no matter how many selections I've done. So if you look at it, the 2,74,000 is untouched. It's not moved or it has not changed. The reason is the moment I do this, it is doing it as whenever you use this 1, right, this identifier, it's called as a set identifier. Whenever you use 1, it will override all the selections in the application. It will just give you the whole set every time. So whenever you want to write all the selections, get the whole value, you can use the identifier 1. There is the second identifier, which is $. $. means current selection. That means it will honor the selections. The moment a user selects, the set is broken down and the value calculated is based on those selections. Having a $. is as good as not having a $. That means technically when you don't have a $, right, it means that it is the $. functionality. If you explicitly say a $, it doesn't make, there's no difference whether you explicitly forcefully say $, or you don't say $. But when you say 1, it will override all the selections. So this becomes my total sales for the company. Yes, by default it is $. If you go to the set analysis help page, right, so you will be able to see this. Now I got $, I got 1. Now this 2,74,000 is 914 is my total sales. Now when I select 2007, which is having the bottom tab is having the $, so it is showing 1,24,000. Now if I want to find out the rest of the value, that means except for 2007, I want the sum of others. So this set identifier gives you a very easy method. In the set analysis, you just have to update 1 minus $. So whatever is the total set minus the current selections will give you the remaining set. So that's how this set identifiers are very useful. If you want to find out the value of the remaining set, so you just use 1 minus $. 1 is the whole set, $, is the current selection set. 1 minus $, will give you the actual result for the others, the set that is not selected. Then there are a couple of other things. There's this $N1 backstack. There's this $_ N. Actually, what this is $1 gives you the sales for previous selection. $_2 will give you the second next selection. That means the forward selection. Now the challenge with this is, you as a developer you will be sure what you're doing, but as a user he will not be sure. So that technically what will happen is, so first I selected 2007, my value is 1,24,000. When I select 2008, my value will be like the 77,000. But when I use $1 and $1, it will give me the 2007 selection. The confusion is the user will never know what he selected previously, and it will always create confusion. I personally don't use this. I use the $1, $1 minus dollar to do divine to find out the inverse and all these things. But I never use this $1 underscore $2 $1 because the user will get confused, big time confused. There is something called as total sales. I'll come back to this when we are doing charts. This has nothing to do in a text box, but total sales is to do in a chart. So we'll talk about it there when we are doing the straight table or anything. Interestingly, with this set analysis, what you can also do is, suppose you have a bookmark, right? Suppose a user says 2006, territory 3, June. I will go ahead and create a bookmark, say add bookmark. I'll say daily monitoring. It's not a really great use case, but I got this daily monitoring. I'll go to more. I will have this bookmark ID over here, BM01. So I can create a set analysis where I can just write bookmark number BM01, right? That's the bookmark number. So the value is 311. No matter if I clear also, it is still holding that bookmark selections and giving me the value 311, right? So the other thing is I can directly write the bookmark name also. It says daily monitoring. So instead of BM01, I can say daily monitoring. It will hold that. That's what this. Either you can use bookmark or you can say that. There is something called as server and document. Right now, that was really in the old versions. In the new versions, there's no difference basically. Then the set operators. So like just like $1 minus dollar, right, is the inverse. So you can have this. Now if you use this current selection into bookmark, it will give you the intersection between current selection and bookmark selection. So if there is an intersection, it will give you those values. Then what we saw first was the set modifiers. Modifiers is nothing but you modify the selection in a particular field, right? So if you write 1, suppose over here, I am giving the sales for, this one is showing $1 minus dollar. This one is showing sum of order quantity for all the whole thing. Okay, this one is showing for previous year, right? Year 2007. Now what happens if I select territory 3? So the data 7 and current year is changing for territory 3, right? So if I select March, it is changing. Now if you want to fix it, you want to make sure that these two boxes, current year as well as previous year, always display the value for the whole year. They should override this territory. So in that scenario, this set analysis, right? You remember 1. If you write 1, it will override all the selection. So over here, you see these angular braces. Whatever you write within these angular braces is the set modifiers. But you can write before that, you can just update an identifier, say 1. The moment you update 1, Qlikview is going to override all the selections, only hold a selection year is equal to previous year and give out the value. So it is overriding the month and the territory selection and giving you the actual value for the whole year. Right? No matter whatever I select, if you see, it is just giving me the previous year value. So that's how you can write set identifiers. And so if you don't mention dollar, by default it is dollar. If you mention dollar, it is like, yeah, it doesn't really help anything. So that's the set modifiers. What I would suggest is go ahead and practice all of these things. So there is something called as modifiers and set operators. So these are not very extensively used, but you can definitely use this. So give it a shot by doing this. If you don't, we'll understand that later. And then the other things will probably continue tomorrow. There's something like advanced searches, modify assignments with implicit set operators. Not really that we'll be using all of these things, but yeah, it is good to know all these things. Tomorrow we'll see how to fix the range. So today I would suggest go ahead and practice creating the variables, putting up these texts, and try to work with these images in the text box. Once we complete this, we will also see how to use these calculations or the set analysis in a chart. So that's where the major difference and the major challenges. That's the chart object. So the traffic signal lights are basically based on calculation. So those are 3 signal lights: red, green, red, yellow, green, right? So based on a expression, one of those will be highlighted. That's why I'm doing the expression first, because that will help you build out that. In that expression, you can write set analysis, anything and everything. All right then.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
All right. Thank you.